Oh, we are live. What's going on, guys? Gio here from Fandom United, episode number 22. We're talking Mortal Kombat. We got some fun stuff to talk about, but I am joined this week by Mr. Keith Barnes, as per usual. Keith, how you doing?
Pretty good. How's it going?
Hey, man, just hanging out and trying to keep up with these Oscars. It's been an interesting year. I haven't really kept up too much with nominees, so I'm just going along with it. But I have also joining me for the first time on Fandom United. This guy is a good buddy of mine. He is an expert in sports, so if you want to talk sports with him, he knows his thing. But Mr. Joseph, how are you, sir?
What's going on, fellas? How you doing? Juiced to be on the show today.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so like I said, the Oscars are happening right now, and we're definitely going to get to Mortal Kombat. That's going to be the bulk of the show. But looks like we got some people here joining us. Starju, as always. And, we got my brother here. Johnny, thank you so much for joining in.
What up, Johnny?
Johnny says, what's up?
Johnny, what's happening?
Yeah. And so we're going to get to Mortal Kombat, but first I want to share something with you, something that I've been working on all today. And it's a little thing I put together for the Oscars and just some of my favorite moments during the ceremony. Like I said, I haven't really kept up with it too much this year because of the pandemic and everything going on. But this is something that I put together, and I want you guys to check it out and hopefully enjoy it. So here we go.
Sofa. It's just us talking. It's Oscar night.
Could you double check the envelope?
Nothing I would rather do, sir. Nothing I would rather do.
Okay, hey, that's good. Look at us.
Nice.
I still can't believe I'm standing here.
My wife, Vanessa, our daughters, Natalia, Gianna, and Bianca, ti amo con tutto il mio cuore. You are my inspiration.
I'm sorry, I did a shot before I...
George Clooney, my favorite man. He showed me love when I first met him. We bring the house. We out of here.
That's just a little montage I put together of some of my favorite moments of the Oscars. Did you guys definitely get something right here when Kobe was on screen, man? That was just, that still hits me to this day, man. It's just, it's crazy. But so let's get to it. Let's talk real quick about this Flash movie. And the first thing I want to do is bring this up. This is the reveal of the official logo, and you can kind of hear a little bit of the music. Those of you who have seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, you're going to notice a little difference. Check this out. Definitely a difference this time. And this movie is going to be very interesting because it's kind of fractured the DC fandom. Okay, people are very concerned about this movie because of what it means. The way Warner Brothers is approaching this movie, they want to reset this universe. They want to put what Zack Snyder has done with Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. They want to put that to the side and move forward with a new direction. And it's kind of rubbing fans off the wrong way, because I'm one of them. We are very attached to what Zack has been doing. We love what he's done with Wonder Woman. We love his Aquaman. We love his Batman. We love his Cyborg, etc. But it's really, this new direction is kind of making fans a little bit skeptical about the future of DC. And I created this graphic to kind of illustrate what I mean. And it's the pros and cons of the Flash movie. Real quick, we'll rapid fire through this because I really want to get to Mortal Kombat. But pros for the Flash movie. It's a continuation for what Zack Snyder has done. His Barry Allen, his Bruce Wayne, his Iris West, his Batman, etc. Excited about the Flashpoint storyline. That's a big thing in the comics. The Flash, he's a man with ability to go back in time, and his mother was unfortunately killed. So what does somebody with powers do? They decide to use that for good, and so the Flashpoint storyline could be interesting. It also opens up the multiverse. Michael Keaton's Batman is going to be in this movie. That could be interesting. Also, director Andy Muschietti, who did It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2. What's he bringing to this movie? I mean, he's a very well-liked and respected director. The Snyders are executive producers. Zack Snyder, he has an interesting relationship with Warner Brothers, okay? Like, they effed him over more times than once, but he's still going to be involved. And, of course, the composer, Benjamin Walfus, who did Mortal Kombat. I'm a fan of his, but for those of you who have seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, that song, that theme that plays when Flash runs back in time, that's a big thing. Like, that really made that scene more than just visual effects on screen, a cool thing to look at. The cons are obviously Ray Fisher's Cyborg, not in the movie. I mean, there was a behind-the-scenes drama with that. A big part of the Flashpoint storyline are the parents of Bruce Wayne, Thomas and Martha Wayne, and how they're portrayed in that storyline. They're not involved in this project. The multiverse. As awesome as it is to see Michael Keaton's Batman, it's a concern that, they're going to fully ignore what Zack Snyder created. This movie's been in 7 years of development. Hell, it's finally happening. Are they rushing it? What's going on? And then, of course, I mentioned the Junkie XL score. I want to get your guys' take. Looking from the outside in, like, what is your stance on the DC movies so far? And are you excited for this Flash movie? What do you want to see, etc.? Keith, go ahead. You started off, man.
Well, I'm definitely excited for the movie. Now that they're actually making it, I'm still kind of like, I want to see them actually shooting, on set and shooting. And, just because this thing's been delayed so long and gone through so many different changes behind the scenes. But so I'll really feel excited when I actually see they're in production. But it's going. I know it's rolling. It's going along. But, so I'm definitely excited for it. Interested to see the take on the Flashpoint story. Which is fascinating. We've talked about it a bunch of times on here and on the other Apocalypse channel about the animated Flashpoint film, which is really good.
Yep,
very good actually. And I'm just curious to see how the two might compare, or what changes they'll make to that, and also to the comic story. Obviously, you got to kind of. It's gonna get compared a little bit you're gonna get some comparisons to the TV show as well. I kind of, looking at the logo, like the animation of it, I kind of immediately thought about the TV series, because it kind of looks kind of like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the Flash. They're both the Flash, so they're gonna kind of be the same. But I wonder if people will have a hard time separating those two things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just looking at the logos and stuff. But but no, it's definitely exciting, and I just wonder whatever they're going to reset, what characters they might reset, what timelines, like where it's going to go afterwards. I'll see the story of Flashpoint and just take it on its own. But obviously, you look at like Keaton. Is he gonna? I think it's a good. I don't say good chance, but is it maybe a chance he could be the Batman going forward? Who knows? Maybe if they're going to incorporate the Batman, the new one, what's his name? Pattinson.
Robert
Pattinson. It winds up kind of. Yeah, I wonder if we see any part of that universe at all. It's a lot of questions that it's an intriguing one. I'm really
this is, like I said, this is a big movie, because you look at a studio like Marvel, right? Their movies are pretty episodic, right? You go movie, team up, movie, team up. With this one, the DC universe is like movie, movie that was heavily messed with because it got bad reviews. Another movie that was heavily messed with because that other movie got bad reviews. So let's be reactionary. And then just, we know what happened with Snyder Cut, right? That was a movie that came out in 2017 and, it was very poorly received, but they consider that movie canon, as in they acknowledge that movie's existence going forward through other movies. Whereas Zack Snyder's Justice League is a cul-de-sac. Well, the problem is Zack Snyder's Justice League was pretty damn good. So now you have this conundrum where it's like, do you listen to the fans who are saying more of what Zack Snyder is doing, or do you continue with this Flash movie that's going to reset the timeline, open up the multiverse, and kind of steer away from what Zack Snyder was doing? Joseph, looking at this from the outside, what are your thoughts on this? Like, how do you feel about the DC movies and, like going forward? Like, what do you hope to see, if anything?
So I'm a big DC fan. I'm not anywhere near a big DC fan. I don't analyze movies like you guys do, right? That's what you guys do day in and day out. You guys watch movies, you analyze it, you look at it. I'm looking at it just from a fan, entertainment standpoint. I've watched these movies all my life. Played the video games, all that stuff. So to me, it's like when I look at Marvel and I look at DC, I like DC. Batman's always been my favorite, and I really do enjoy DC. But what I think that Marvel has done that has made it so successful compared to the two is Marvel picked a cast, right? They went out and got their Iron Man. They went out and got their Captain America. They went out and got their Spider-Man. They went out and got their Thor. And they made multi-movies with these guys, right? And like actual Thor 1, Thor 2, Thor 3, like you said, it was a very constructive, these guys are going to have 3 movies and then there's going to be 3 Avengers, and it was that's how it is. With DC, it's like, aside from Batman, which even Batman's in a way, because they've done these one-offs. Yeah. But I want to see a story developed. I want to see Batman get 3 movies. I want to see Wonder Woman get 3 movies. I want, and then a Justice League 2, where they left in Zack Snyder's Justice League, they left so much that easily you could have a second one, right?
Yeah.
No question about it. I was thrilled by that movie, and I watched the first one. My girlfriend and I watched the first one a long time ago when it came out. I never rewatched it. I was like, this movie's awful. I'm sorry, but the CGI was awful. The storyline was corny. They left so many, like they just introduced Cyborg, no story about the guy. And then Snyder comes in and he makes a real movie out of it. Yes, it was long. Maybe it didn't need to be 4 hours, but after how bad the first one was, it felt necessary. So I don't agree with the direction that they're going, and I'm with you. I think let Zack Snyder do his thing. Even if you want to reset the universe, then stick to it. If Robert Pattinson is your guy for this movie, he should be the guy for 3 or 4 movies. Not Ben Affleck in for a few scenes. He's never had a real Batman movie, right?
Yeah, he got close. He got very close to doing a script, but the studio meddling, he's a filmmaker that likes to, do his thing, you saw that with The Town and with Argo. If you watch those movies, he's clearly proven, and he's going to be in this movie. That's a big question. Like, this movie intends on resetting the universe moving forward with what they feel has worked. How do they treat Ben Affleck's Batman, knowing that in their mind he's attached to some movies that weren't as positively received?
My question is, Robert Pattinson's Batman's going to be coming out, and then in this movie, The Flash, which is not scheduled to come out till 2022, right? And then you have Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck, so they have 3 Batmans going basically simultaneously. How does that make sense?
Right?
Like, I can understand if you have young Batman and old Batman and you're, maybe showing Michael Keaton in the future or even now and Ben Affleck in flashbacks, whatever. But if you're using it doesn't make sense. It's Bruce Wayne. It's one guy, and you're just kind of confusing the story. But
yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see. That's something I wanted to bring up in a conversation. And they're shooting the movie right now. It's happening. So at the very least, like regardless of how divided the fandom might be, it'll be a very interesting movie to see how it plays out, see what happens next, and it'll be, like I said, interesting to see Jacob here because she was in the previous scripts before, and there at least we're talking about Iris West, the girl that Flash saved from the accident. She wasn't in the 2017 version, but she's in this movie, which they're not considering canon. And he's saying iterations of the script, they're using some elements to make it Flashpoint. I get that, but it's just like, Warner Brothers, they say one thing, but their actions, show another. And it's just,
like
as
I said,
a DC fan, it's just exhausting. You see Marvel right off of the heels of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they announced Captain America 4, and it's just like, man, come on, guys. Like, it's not rocket science,
I agree. I agree. Well, like I said, they're reactionary. I think part of it is that, Marvel Studios, they started their own film production company.
Yeah.
Whereas, DC is, it's under Warner Brothers, which is a bigger, you know what I mean?
Warner Brothers is very old fashioned, they're not.
Yeah. They're one of the original, they're one of the OG film studios. So, even though it was smarter than way back in whatever it was, the 70s, whenever they acquired, all DC stuff. But, you think that they would have just taken it like, let's just have our own just DC film division. Yeah. Maybe that's what they're doing now. I don't know, but then just pick somebody to run it and let them do their thing.
Yeah.
And they have a plan. Focus on, like you said, like Joe was saying, just pick your characters, focus on them. If you got the confidence in them, pick your filmmakers, pick your characters, have it kind of mapped out. Maybe that's what they'll do going forward. Flashpoint is a story where they can kind of sort of do that, kind of correct that a little bit.
Yeah.
Make it a little more streamlined than it's been, but we'll see.
So this Suicide Squad that's coming out, explain to me as someone from the outside, does that at all tie into Zack Snyder's Justice League? You're saying it's not canon.
Warner Brothers is saying it's not canon. They're saying the 2017 movie is canon. It's what they're going to acknowledge in their movies going forward. Mm-hmm. But the point I was bringing up is it's confusing because they say that, but they're pulling Iris West from Zack Snyder's Justice League and putting him in the Flash movie. Iris West is a love interest to Barry Allen, the Flash.
Yeah.
And so it's just like,
and that
actress, to answer your question, it's kind of in that Zack Snyder universe that he created because you have characters like Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. You got Amanda Waller, who's back as the leader. What's her name? Viola Davis. So you have some cast members returning, but I'm thinking with this Flash movie, they're just going to throw a whole bunch of stuff at the wall, see what sticks, and then that's going to be their universe going forward, And that's one way to go about it. But what you're doing is you're fracturing your fandom. You're dividing them, and that's not something you should do. Like Zack Snyder's Justice League was universally liked, if not loved. Very, very few people did not like the movie, and that's their opinion. That's fine, but even I was surprised at the reception that the movie had, and so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, like I'm repeating myself. It's until we learn more, until we see a trailer, it's just going to be one of those things, that like it or not, it's happening.
So is this Suicide Squad? Is this technically a number 2 with Margot Robbie, or is this?
So
good question.
What James Gunn said, the director, he said that it's not exactly a reboot, but it's kind of its own thing. Mm-hmm. So just treat it like another story with some characters returning, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the first one was, I don't know, I wasn't a huge fan of the first one, but I know the director of this one, right? He's the guy that did
the Guardians. Yeah.
Those are probably my favorite Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good sign, definitely.
All right. Well, you guys let us know your thoughts on the Flash movie, what you're looking forward to, what you're not, if you're watching live or if you're watching on playback, likely, because some people are probably watching the Oscars. But let's get to it. Let's talk Mortal Kombat. That's why we are here. I've seen the movie twice, once on HBO Max and once in theaters. Joseph, Keith, how many times have you guys watched the movie?
I'm at number 1 right now, just the time that I went to the movies with you, but
sure.
I'll probably catch it again here in the next couple of weeks. I'll give it a shot at home with HBO Max, and when I have some more time to sit down and actually watch it. Sure. But I had a good experience at the theater.
Private screening, all three of us.
Yeah, it was good.
Keith, how many times have you seen it?
Just in full, just one time at the theater, like we said. When I got home, my daughter Sophia was asking me about it, so I showed her just the opening scene with the Scorpion, Sub-Zero. So we watched that, which was pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, I was gonna try to watch it again yesterday, but I just kind of just didn't. Just got doing other stuff, but I actually want to try to watch it again before our next show Tuesday. But it was. We'll get into it.
All right, so let's get into it. This is a full spoilers. We don't have to start from the very beginning all the way to the end. We can talk about whatever we want at first, our biggest takeaways, and just go from there. I mean, look, this is a movie we've been waiting 24 years to see since 1997 Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Way to feel old, 24 damn years, and this.
I just graduated high school when that one came out.
You graduated high school when Annihilation came out?
Yeah. 97,
you and I were just hitting our
second grade.
Years old,
Second, third grade. First grade, man. It's crazy. But what I'll say is that, look, as a fan of the video games, when you watch this movie as a fan of the video games, there's plenty to love because of what they did with the mythology. You see the fatalities that you recognize from the video games. You see the costumes and outfits that you recognize in the video games.
Liu Kang's little sweep kick.
The sweep kick, the
bicycle kick.
And Sub-Zero, how he was bringing up the wall, kicking them through it. And it was very much like the video games, with like you said, the moves.
So let's, Keith, if somebody were to ask you, how'd you feel about Mortal Kombat? What would you say? And give us your background coming into this movie, your experience, your history with the IP. Let's just call it an IP.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, I was, going back to, I'm going to say 94, 95, I think. I don't know. I was right there from day one. I remember Mortal Monday when the game came out.
Nice.
Sega Genesis. I was right there. I had to rent it, though. I didn't buy it. I had to go rent it from Movie Time, the video store. My parents wouldn't buy it for me. But so I would either rent it or just borrow it from my friends. But I've been a Mortal Kombat head right from the start. So I actually still have on my you remember the Sony PSP, which I still have.
The handheld PlayStation. Yeah,
and they have one of these Midway things that has all the Midway games on it. And it has Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3 on it. So I actually still have those. Still have that. But I beat all three of those. I never played. I think the last one I played was Mortal Kombat 4. And I didn't play another one until I think the first DC versus Mortal Kombat one. Was the last one that I played.
Oh, I remember that game. DC versus Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. That's actually really good. And then I know in Injustice, both Injustice games, some of the characters pop up in those as well. But anyway, so that's my background with Mortal Kombat. I'm all into it, man. I love the stories, love all the storylines from some of the characters, all the characters. And I was right there in the theater to watch the first one. I think I was in maybe 10th grade when it came out, 10th or 11th grade, I can't remember. And it's a beloved film. You watch it again, it's a little goofy. Doesn't really hold up. I mean, everybody loves it and thinks it's the best video game movie, but it's nostalgia, right? Because it's really not that good.
As you get older,
it's
nostalgia takes a bigger,
right.
chunk of it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's as you grow and kind of seeing movies that are better over time. You look back and like, all right, this is maybe not as good as I thought it was, but it's still fun to watch, So they got the lore down for sure. So I just think it's all most people cared about, really. But Annihilation's not good at all, though. That movie's bad. I remember walking out of it like that movie. I did not like that at all. But so they're coming into it. I know they had that web series a few years ago that Michael Jai White was in, maybe about 10 years ago or so.
Mortal Kombat. Well, they had an 8-minute short film. Star Drew. Yeah. I don't know if you saw this, Star Drew, but it's called Mortal Kombat Rebirth. It was an 8-minute short film, and it was crazy.
Well, Jerry Ryan played
Jerry Ryan, Michael J. White, yeah. So some notable people, yeah.
Yeah, what's his name from Starship Troopers was Johnny Cage. I can't think of his name.
I know you're talking about, but I don't remember his name. Yeah.
Yeah, Casper Van Dien. Casper Van Dien, I think his name. Whatever, I don't know. But yeah. So I remember like everybody was excited about that because people thought that was going to be like a new lead to a new movie at that time. So I've been hearing about Mortal Kombat stuff kind of since then. Like, well, when is this? Like, what's going on with that? So when this was finally coming, I was like, oh, okay. Well, I thought this is a completely different thing. So I was excited for it, and I knew it probably wasn't going to be great in terms of like they're not going to. There's always I don't know when they shot this. Obviously, we had the pandemic last year, and I'm sure they got most of it in before everything kind of shut down. But so I was kind of had a little bit of had some questions of how this was going to be, but I know it was pushed back. Right, it was one of the movies that was pushed back, like everything else was.
Yeah, so, it was supposed to come out like last year, late last year, and then January.
Yeah,
and then
yeah. So I'm sure they got a lot of it done before, but yeah, man, it's a cool trailer. Everything. Oh, it was just the web series, the Rebirth.
This is the Rebirth, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought this was really good, man. People were like, "Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Jerry Ryan. Yeah, that's right."
I can only play so much before it gets copyrighted.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, people went crazy over that, man. I remember when that came out. And yeah, Star Drew. Yes, Jerry Ryan was Sonya. Yeah, 100%. And I thought it was really good, man. It was like a real kind of realistic-ish take on it. It was less, not as much as like the magic stuff that you see, but yeah, I was really excited for this one. Big Mortal Kombat head, like I said, and I thought it was fine. I thought it was all right. Definitely not bad. I do want to see more. We have our criticisms of it. We'll talk about it here, but I thought it was a good starting point if they're going to continue. If it winds up being a one-off, hopefully not. I doubt it, but if it winds up being a one-off, I'll say it's fine. Even though we don't get the actual tournament, which is kind of an issue.
Yeah,
we don't see Shang Tsung do anything, which I kind of had an issue with that. I think that kind of because on the original game, right? Like Shang Tsung was the final boss. He doesn't really fight. Yeah, so you don't. I think that's kind of what they're kind of going for.
Oh, I got some thoughts about Shang Tsung. I'm gonna let you finish. We're gonna get to Shang Tsung, Goro. We're gonna get to
absolutely
detail of this. Yeah, but overall, it sounds like you. What?
Oh no, I was gonna say. Well, they included a bunch of stuff that it seemed like, they're going somewhere, but then they just didn't do it. Like I would, if they're gonna do it as simple as they did, yes, absolutely. Then they should have just kind of, if I was making the movie, I would have just kept it to like the original game, just with those characters, which I kind of sort of did, but I don't know. It seemed like they introduced a lot of stuff that we don't know. I don't know. They just didn't really. It felt like there was a lot of stuff missing. Let's put it that way. I know the movie that people had a lot of issues with the runtime being so short. You definitely feel like okay, they seemed like they either cut a lot of stuff or it seemed like there was this movie was meant to be a little bit more, and it wasn't.
Okay. Since you said that, let me bring this up, and then I'll go to Joseph. This is from the guy who played Cole Young.
Okay.
There are much more fights that didn't make it, including my favorite one, type of error. Hopefully on special features, and I'll say my thoughts on this. But to your point, I wanted to bring that up. Joseph, give us your background with Mortal Kombat, and how did you feel about this movie as somebody who grew up playing video games? I presume.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I'm 29, right? We turned 30 this year. I turned 30. Yeah. So, I mean, dude, that was my jam when I was a kid. You know, I mean, everything from the video game on SNES, Sega Genesis. I mean, watching the movies. I still remember being a kid at my dad's house on the big screen TV, throw on some Mortal Kombat. I think Keith summed it up pretty well. It was a pretty corny movie, but the nostalgia of it is just what makes it so amazing. But I mean, kind of a further point, you know, and one of my criticisms with this movie is, and I hope there's a second one, is who was everybody's favorite character? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but Liu Kang was my guy, right?
Absolutely.
He's everybody's guy, right?
Yeah.
And Liu Kang, the Beverly Hills Ninja, right? He was the same one. Right,
yep.
He was so
Beverly Hills Ninja,
badass, dude. When I was a kid, and then meanwhile, this Liu Kang, like, he was cool, he was funny, he had a couple good lines, but he didn't feel like this overwhelming presence at any point. Like,
he definitely took a back seat.
Yeah, exactly. I'm hoping, and my girlfriend really doesn't like the guy that played him. I'm hoping that it's a progression, because I think there's definitely a number 2. Right, they're gonna go get Johnny Cage, and they're going to go to Mortal Kombat, and they're going to end up fighting Shang Tsung. And so we'll see what happens there. But I hope that he progresses and takes more of a front seat role. Because the main character is like, who? You know, I can't remember him very well if he was ever in any of these.
No, you're talking about this guy right here. He's a newly created character. You're Cole Young.
Yeah,
Cole. That's his name.
That's what I was saying. I never heard of him before this. I mean, the blades look kind of familiar. Like maybe in one of the newer Xbox, somebody had that. But yeah, I mean, I get it. They don't want to just remake the same movie over again with the same storyline. So you got to add in some new flair. But overall, I think it was a good movie. And back to Keith, he said this earlier. He said, my daughter was asking about it. I put on the first scene. We watched Scorpion versus Sub-Zero. I told Alyssa when we left the movie theater, my girlfriend Alyssa, I told her, this movie was good just because of that scene. Like, if you had given me an awful movie, and the movie, I think the fighting scenes were good all throughout.
Yeah.
But the original scene with Scorpion picking up the garden tool and attaching the rope and oh, man, dude.
Yeah.
It was such a good scene. One of the best in all of Mortal Kombat that I've ever seen. And I think a lot of people thought that Cole Young?
Cole Young, yeah.
Cole Young. I think a lot of people thought he was going to be Scorpion, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Alyssa thought so. And I kept saying, no, I think it's that guy. I think he's Scorpion. And that's Sub-Zero. And obviously they have a long feud. But I like how Mortal Kombat changes it up, right? Because in some of the older stuff that they've put out, Sub-Zero is good and Scorpion's bad. Right. And now they give us different where Sub-Zero is bad, Scorpion's good. Yeah. I mean, Liu Kang's always going to be good. Shang Tsung's always going to be bad. Raiden's always going to be good. But those guys were kind of mercenaries in a way.
Yeah.
So I liked how they flipped that switch. And now you get because Scorpion, back in the first movie, when they're fighting in the forest and it comes out of, oh, man. Like, I love Scorpion, but
me too.
Yeah, but I mean, I just hope, like I said, if there is a second one, I hope Johnny Cage character is really good because I've always liked Johnny Cage. I like this new Jax a lot. I think he went under the radar. He was really cool. His progression throughout the whole movie was really good. Yeah, and I like the original Jax too, but I like him and Sonya, and they vibed really well. And his arms unlocking and getting bigger, that was sick. So
the progression, you know, you didn't just get the arms and hey, I did 6 tours, mother.
Yeah,
Man.
that was sick when he was fighting Sub-Zero. Yeah, and that's why I told Alyssa is the progression. You saw the progression in all these guys, right? We saw Sonya's progression and her actually shooting out those little thing, and we saw even Kano's progression. All in the older ones, it was really just the only one that progressed was Liu Kang.
Yeah,
everyone was kind of Kano was already a fighter, and Sonya Blade was already, so. I'm hoping that Liu Kang's progression and the focus of the next movie is a lot more on him, and we see him kind of go from a back role to he's got to defeat Shang Tsung, because I don't want them to tweak it too much to where this guy Cole Young is becoming, the main guy. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Kano, let's talk about him real quick. But before we do that, I'm going to play this little thing right here, and it's maybe his best moment in the movie. Here it is.
Laser beam! It's better than fireballs, you pussy!
Dude, that moment had laugh out loud. Like, I'm pretty sure I heard Dawn and a few other people.
I was cracking up. He had a few of those moments. And Alyssa and I both, when we were driving home, were like, oh, Kano, acting wise, obviously I hate Kano as a character in Mortal Kombat. You always hate him, but as an actor, he was by far stole the show. Best one there. I mean, he was funny. He was pretty badass compared to the older Kano. I liked it a lot. I liked it. And he wasn't, the old Kano was like very creepy. And this one was more like a menace. I don't know how to explain it, but just a different feel with him. But I liked him a lot. And the Australian accent was a good touch, like with this character and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree with you. I was not expecting Kano to be as, funny as he ended up being. I will say that there were times where it was just like, okay, it was just a little bit too much. I think, and this goes back to what I said about this right here and them, cutting out parts of the movie. They definitely said, let's keep every funny moment, every funny line, or at least line that's meant to be funny with Kano in the movie. And it's just like, if you were editing this movie any other way, you would say, okay, let's trim some of the humor because we don't want to go overboard. That's something that's so difficult to do in these movies is, I mean, you could definitely be funny, but there's a thin line between funny and too funny, if you guys get what I mean.
Yeah. Well, the first Mortal Kombat, I don't remember any humor. Like, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe subtle, very subtle, small one-lines.
Yeah, well, Stardew had this point right here. Like, there's a moment where Sonya Blade, they're on the boat, and Sonya Blade pulls a gun on Johnny Cage just as they leave, and she's like, I don't need your help. And then Liu Kang walks up and he's like, just another starstruck fan, and then gives him a punch. Like, it's those little moments like that, where at the boat, Johnny Cage is like, do I look like a travel agent, or something,
But a lot of them were Johnny Cage, right? It wasn't like, I can't remember. Kano was, I don't remember him being funny at all.
No.
Like I say, he's more creepy, like you said, than always kind of leering at Sonya a little bit and antagonizing her a little bit, but But
you know what? I think there's more to the Kano character. I think they cut out quite a bit because that turn that he does happens very quickly. One moment he has his powers, he's happy to be there. Cabal talks to him, convinces him to, but then it happens so quickly. He goes and he uses his laser, and then the shields are down, and it's just like I bet you, like, the movie without credits is an hour and 40 minutes. I bet you there's a 2-hour version of this movie that flows even better and gives the characters even more, because this movie definitely focused on this guy a lot, and I think other characters had to suffer for it.
Yeah.
I have nothing to back that up other than what they're saying and what I've read through previous reports before the movie came out.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Kano was definitely a bright spot. Obviously, these two fighting are a bright spot. I mean, they are, and an argument can be made. I mean, not an argument can be made. I think it's very clear. Mortal Kombat, as far as mythology backstories go, it's these two right here.
Oh, these two guys. Yeah, absolutely.
Lin Kuei versus the Shirai Ryu clan.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that they gave us some of that. Hell, I'd be open to a fucking prequel with these two clans going at each other, leading up to the attack on Hanzo's house with his family. But then you could also go with these two characters. I wouldn't mind a prequel miniseries, or maybe not a movie, like a miniseries on HBO Max.
Yeah,
with these two, because they talked about how Jax got his, mark. He took down somebody else with the mark, and these two. I mean, I thought they had great chemistry. Do you guys feel the same way?
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
I think, like you said, I wouldn't. I'm not sure if they could attract a movie. But a miniseries, 100% on HBO. Like Disney's doing it. Like
a low budget,
now.
Like 20 million, and I mean for 20 million for a miniseries, that's not expensive, I mean.
Yeah. Amazon, that's I was gonna say that's kind of what I was trying to say earlier. I couldn't find the words, but I wish there was a world where they kind of could have built up to the tournament, like we could have maybe done like 3 movies, 2 or 3 movies, like I said, like a Sub-Zero, Scorpion backstory thing, like maybe a Liu Kang, Kung Lao backstory, and then a Sonya, Jack's backstory movies series. Yeah, I know, like I said, I don't know if that would be enough to attract people for a feature-length movie, you know what I mean, for 3 movies just about those people, but
yeah,
I wish there was a world where we could do that, where we can make movies for each of those stories, and then
I would 100% watch a Kung Lao movie. 100%.
Absolutely, man. So, but yeah, maybe a TV series might have been pretty good, because
you mentioned Kung Lao just now. One of the best moments, and I had to edit this shit down. Here we go.
Bro,
man,
he was so he was everything that you imagine as a kid, right? Because he didn't get screen time on the first movie. Like, he was dead, right? And Liu Kang was basically his brother was dead, and you only kind of knew about him through the video games, right? And I'm sure comic books and stuff, if you guys read those. But as a mainstream kind of effect, he was only really the video games, and he had the hat, but the way they put in the hat and it was that was so sick.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, so this movie, and I've been following it. That's what I do. They said the fights would be unlike anything you've seen, and it would be very violent. I felt like the only violent parts were the fatalities, whereas the fights themselves, they were pretty
standard. They're well done, but they're nothing too
PG-13. Like if you watch a movie like Ray or John Wick, they're punching, and you're literally seeing bruises and blood like right away. And with this movie, I talked about it on my non-spoiler review, but there's too many goddamn cuts. You know how when you watch a movie and you can, like with John Wick, they show you the punches and everything. This movie, there were times where like it goes cut, and I'm just like, well, wait a minute, I didn't see that punch land. I wanted to see that, or like it's just I don't know.
Especially
Maybe it's
Mortal Kombat, right? Because it's like the most gory, like the fatalities that I wish the other Kano ripped his ass.
Oh, rest in peace. Did the original Kano die? Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't aware.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stardew. It was gather up a team training, then Kano turn, they fight in tempo. It's a yeah. I mean that's the thing. Like and two, I don't know which of you mentioned it, but like I said this in my non-spoiler. Like guys, what is Mortal Kombat? What is Mortal Kombat? For those of you who have seen the video games, you know what Mortal Kombat is. When you watch this movie, you never get to Mortal Kombat.
Never.
No, it's like
they talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, like the tournament, this and that. And that brings me to like, you know, what I was going to say about this guy right here. And we can get to both of them. But the guy to your right, Shang Tsung, I don't like how they treated him in this movie. They made it seem like his motivations were cowardly because one of the first things he says is the prophecy is among us. Like, they only have to win, or we only have to win one more time. Excuse me. They only have to win one more time. We're gonna stop that no matter what. He doesn't put any faith in his fighters. This fool has a four-armed called Shao Kahn, Goro. How do you not like let the tournament proceed?
Yeah, no way.
Because Goro was the champion, right? I know in Not of War, like no one could beat Goro. That's why they kept winning all the time.
Didn't they want the tournament so that Shang Tsung could get more souls and get stronger? I haven't seen that movie in 5 years, but that's what I remember is that he wanted those souls.
That's generally what it does. He has Goro and it helps people beat everyone, and then he takes everybody's souls, and that's how he stays young.
We'll get to Goro, but I'd like to focus on Shang Tsung real quick.
Sure.
I think they made him too much of a coward because he gets one moment where he, gets the soul and whatnot, but it's just like he's so worried about this prophecy. Let your fighters fight.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, and that prevented us from getting the actual tournament. And I don't know if that actor was the best actor for Shang Tsung. I mean, he's the same guy from The Dark Knight I'm good with calculations, and that same guy, like you can never get, I'm always going to know him for that for the rest of my life, for the rest of his career. How'd you guys feel about Shang Tsung?
Yeah. My only issue was, well, not my only issue, but my biggest issue is, there's no mention of what he does. Shang Tsung is incredibly powerful. He's a very powerful shapeshifter. You don't see him do that at all. I thought there was one moment, I'm trying to think where it was. I thought he was going to, I think maybe he faced off against Liu Kang. I think. I thought he was going to change into Kung Lao just to mess with Liu Kang.
Oh, yeah, he has that power, yeah.
Right. Yeah, because that's the thing. He can change into anyone. I know in Mortal Kombat 2 in the game, he's defeated in the first one. He comes back in the second one, and Shao Kahn restores his youth, so he has a younger appearance in Mortal Kombat 2. Maybe that's something they'll do in the future. But this actor doesn't look, because in the first game, I know it's different, but in the first game, he's like this old kind of gray. He kind of looks like Gandalf a little bit. He's just got this white robe. He's got the white hair. He's very old, gray looking.
He looks like the guy from Kill Bill Volume 2, the one who trains Uma Thurman.
Pai Mei. He looks like Pai Mei. Yeah, exactly. Looks exactly like him. I would imagine that's who he was based on when they were designing him. Because that character's from old, from old kung fu movies. But and then like I said, in Mortal Kombat 2, he comes back. He's younger. He's got like a ponytail and he's got the long goatee. And he's wearing. He kind of looks He kind of looks like he has the what's Sword Zero's clan called?
The Lin Kuei.
Yeah, he kind of looks like them. The uniform he's wearing, but
hey, Joseph. In the future games, like he came back younger, right? Like in the first game, he was old. He was sitting on a chair. I remember in Mortal Kombat 3 or Trilogy, he came back with like black hair and he had yellow pants and he did this, and it was just like what?
He could turn into all the fighters, even some of the unplayable ones. He could turn into. And he shoots those fireballs. He does this. He does the classic fireballs. He shoots those fireballs. Didn't do anything. Nothing in this movie. He didn't even
did nothing.
Nothing at all.
He did nothing. He did that.
The only I know we barely really even saw the Outworld. Like it showed some sweeping shots, some big kind of wide shots of it, but we saw his throne that he sits on or whatever. They did a little kind of a variation, like because in the game, like Raiden, who we'll get to because I love Raiden. Raiden he can't go to the Outworld. Like he's not allowed there. I think they did that in the first movie too, from back in the day. I'm a big Raiden guy. I love Raiden. He was one of my favorites. Favorite characters.
We'll get to Raiden.
But yeah, as an elder god, he's not allowed in the Outworld, so they have to go on and fight without him. Whereas in this one, Raiden made a thing where they blocked. He put up
he put out like a force field or something. Yeah,
so they couldn't get into his temple, which is kind of interesting.
I agree, Johnny.
The lack of Shang Tsung, and of course, what happened with Kung Lao. We didn't like that at all.
Joe, how'd you feel about the quote unquote bosses, the bad guys of this? I know you probably have some opinions about Goro. Do you have anything else about Shang Tsung before you get to that?
Yeah, man. I agree with you. What you guys have him, and I'll be honest, Raiden, and like I already said, Liu Kang, who I think of when I think of Mortal Kombat. Those are the three strongest characters, right? Yeah. It's Shang Tsung, Raiden, and Liu Kang. I didn't really get that from any of them, right? Like Raiden in the first few movies was like a big, powerful presence, and he walked through and like he had the staff and the light. Like I like how they did the lightning effects behind him and the lightning in his eyes, but like the white hair from the old one where he's like an older guy and he's a very wise person where I didn't get that from this one.
Christopher Lambert.
Yeah, he was good though. And
say what you will about the casting. He brought personality.
He was good.
Yeah. Oh, I loved all the casting from the first movie. I thought it was corny. There's no CGI back then, or like not anywhere near what they have today. But if they brought in those same actors, 20 years later, if they were the age that they were back then, I thought it would have been way better. I didn't like Shang Tsung's character at all. It looked like he was wearing eyeshadow or something. Like he just didn't feel very strong. Even the original Shang Tsung, like the way he spoke was so much more like demanding, where here, like you said, he felt like a coward. Like, we have to stop them before we ever get to Mortal Kombat. No, like I'm assembling my guys. Raiden, who are you going to bring to challenge me? You can't beat me. That's how it was. Now it's no, we got to go to Earth and kill him before they even get here.
Yeah.
No. Let's not sabotage the movie before it starts. But I think that all goes into making it. That's why I think there's going to be multiple, right? They're not just going to end it here. There's going to be another one, and maybe that's Mortal Kombat, and then where they actually get to Mortal Kombat. And then there will be more. I could see this going 3 or 4 movies because Mortal Kombat is such a well-known series. But realistically, we've only had 2 movies and an animated series and an 8-minute, Jackson Sonya. Yeah. Whereas you talk about other DC movies like Batman or other movies like Batman or all the Marvel comic, even Kong and Godzilla, we're getting dozens of movies these days, but we need something for these guys. This is what we grew up on, and they know that people like us are going to eat it up. So why put all of our time into making a 2.5-hour movie where we sum up Mortal Kombat and everything and Shang Tsung dies? Now let's stretch this out to 3 movies. Let's get you guys peaked. Let's get you interested. The next one's going to have Johnny Cage. Liu Kang's going to be more relevant. So
Shang was just there and a bully leader which wanted to end it quick and just invade. I get what they were going for. Like I see it. Like I feel like I'm there in a writer's room with them, and like I get what you were going for. It just didn't work. Sometimes what you write down doesn't work out,
Yeah.
It just I experienced that twice a month on this show. Okay.
I think Johnny said it also was how he just killed off
Kung Lao, or as
Yeah,
Kano says, Kung Pao.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
just like, oh, they're fighting and Kung Lao's badass and he just destroys this lady with his helmet, and then Shang Tsung just grabs him and swallows his soul. Like,
Yes.
okay, why doesn't he just do that to everybody?
Everyone,
Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like, you know, like, and you know, I won't play the clip again, but you know, he, like, Kung Lao, limited screen time, but he made it count. You know, it's just,
Oh yeah.
I
Well,
don't know. It just, it
the
felt
thing
like
is-
it was just a moment for like, oh, we need one moment to make Shang Tsung look like a badass.
Yeah.
So let's sacrifice this guy right here.
Well, we knew he was gonna die. It's part of the canon, right? Is that
Right.
he's-
Yeah,
he does.
but
he's
not
gonna
like
But
die.
that.
still,
Yeah, Keith.
well, the thing is, you know, like the point is that he doesn't fight. He doesn't
Yeah.
have to, because he has Goro does it all. Because Goro, like they're like Goro's Darth Vader and Shang Tsung is the Emperor, right? And Shang Tsung just sits in the
That's a good
chair.
analogy.
Yeah, and Shang Tsung, he just sits in the chair, and the whole point is you can bring whoever you want. You're not getting past Goro,
Right.
and so, and you know, Goro takes care of everyone, and he gets their souls. The fact that, and we'll get to Goro in a second, but because that might be even worse.
Well, go ahead and lead into Goro whenever. So,
Well, okay, so Goro shows up, looks cool, looks really good. But the effects in this movie actually are pretty good too. That's all. We'll mention that. Like that, I thought the visual effects were really good. If you go back, I know in the original, in the first one, the first movie from '95 or whatever, I think Goro was kind of a big. It was a big practical effects, which was really pretty good at the time. And if you watch it now, it's pretty good. I think they had like 10 guys or something that had to operate him or whatever, and it combined with a little bit of stop motion or whatever. But it's pretty good practical effect for that one. So I was curious to see. I didn't know Goro was going to be in this. I didn't recall seeing that poster, and I didn't remember it from the trailers at all because I didn't really watch the trailers much.
Mm-hmm.
So I was surprised to see him. I was like, "Oh, Goro's in this." Okay. Yeah, it looks good. Yeah, see, I think it's all right.
Looks creepy,
I
man.
think it's not. I know.
Imagine waking up in the middle of the night and seeing that shit in the fucking corner. Ugh.
And he didn't even do. You know, he does a thing where he takes his bottom arms, and he picks you up, and he takes the top arms and just does this. He didn't do that at all. I don't know. I want to see him do that. I want to see him do
With the
that.
genie.
That's hilarious.
Oh my
He does
gosh.
look like that.
Oh god.
That's very funny. But yeah. So I thought Goro looked really good. When they brought him out, I was just like, okay, well, this is over. They're not gonna. No one's going to beat him. You know, I didn't like how they beat him in that first movie either with Johnny Cage. You know, that whole thing. That was kind of. I remember being annoyed there too. But
Yeah.
this one, you know, look, I get that they're trying to make this Cole guy the new focal point here. He's a descendant of Scorpion. I got it. Even though he doesn't do anything the Scorpion does. Fine, whatever. But
Yeah.
they could have just brought back Scorpion. Now, if Scorpion had defeated Goro, I would be like, okay, I get it. All right, that's fine. That would have worked. But that was I don't know. Didn't like the Goro. They didn't like that Goro. At some point, Goro does have to be defeated, so I get that. But it should have been. It should have been in the tournament. It should have been built up to at some point, rather than he just shows up as a goon to fight this guy, and he just gets killed, kind of just like that. Like,
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, there's
Drew,
a lot of
that is Drew is saying
wow. Okay.
he enjoyed 95 more than 2021. Like that's
All right.
I'm with him. I'm with him.
That's a close call. That is a close call right there. Damn, even Johnny's agreeing too.
Yeah.
But
Wow. Okay.
let me say this about Goro, okay? As a kid, he scared the hell out of me, okay? I mean, four-arm guy, like half dragon, half human. Literally, that's how they describe him: half dragon, half human.
Yeah.
In this movie, all right, so he's fighting this guy right outside his home. That guy to your right. His girlfriend, wife?
I guess wife. Yeah.
Yeah, comes up to this guy on the left, walks up or like jogs up with an axe and slices Goro, and I'm just like,
yeah. Ha! Like what?
I'm like, what am I watching here? Is this Mortal Kombat or is this like, I don't know, the Newlyweds version of Mortal Kombat? Like, I don't know. It's just, and that has nothing to do with like, don't get me wrong. Okay, we got some badass females in this fucking movie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Sonya Blade and Molina, who I feel like she got the short end of the stick, but whatever.
I agree.
I just felt like what they did with Goro, it's like it was kind of a disservice because this guy's a big deal,
right?
Okay, like you knew what was coming when you played those old games. Like that motherfucker to your left was coming for you, and it was so intimidating. In this movie, it's just like he almost gets ran over by a truck. He slams the damn hood.
Yeah.
He gets axed by some human.
Right.
And then next thing you know, he's sliced, and it's just like, that's it? It's just like...
Yeah.
I get it, okay? These blockbusters tend to favor the heroes, but, like, every now and then I want to see a villain that is actually scary,
seems unbeatable.
Yeah.
That's what he's supposed to be. Like, he's like, oh, man, we got to face Goro. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, cool young dude. Yeah.
What? I didn't even get.
I felt like they tried too hard to make this guy like so much of the movie that everybody else in the movie kind of suffered, except for Kano, Kano and Sub-Zero, like clearly when looking at this, you can tell which one's got, the short end of the stick. But any final thoughts on the bad guys? I mean, it's kind of like, there were some good things as far as, the guy on the left is concerned. The guy on the right, his costume looks cool, but it's just,
I just hope that they expand, right? Like, when we get to the second movie, the beauty of Mortal Kombat, right, is that. And Shang Tsung kind of led to this, right? Where he said it doesn't matter how many of them you kill, like I'll have more, right? I can't remember the exact line, but he said something like that. And it's true. There's so many guys, right? Like they can bring Smoke, they can bring, Jade, they can bring Baraka, they can bring Motaro, right? Who you've got on the screen right there. They can bring Nightwolf.
We saw Nightwolf. It's one of those blink and you'll miss Easter eggs.
Really? Yeah. See, where was he?
So when Sonya Blade is saying this has been happening for generations, and she's pointing to the board that kind of explains everything for you.
Yeah,
he's in one shot. Nightwolf. It's a blink and you'll miss.
Like a little drawing or a photo or something. I think it looked like it was a drawing, like a hand drawing.
I think it was a hand drawing. In fact,
Yeah.
Let me see here. I'm gonna try it, but as you were saying, Joe.
That's the beauty of Mortal Kombat is that. Oh yeah, I see. So it was the Matoka warrior, and he said, "I'm looking it up right now, and I do remember this picture." Yeah. And they said, it's some of the old tribes members, used to reference it as this. I think is what the line was, but there's just so many characters. So, as far as the bad characters are concerned, or the evil characters, I'm just excited to see what they bring in for the next one, right? Because Smoke would be cool in this, or Cyrax. Who was in Annihilation? Who did they use? Who was the green bot? That was Cyrax, right? Do you guys remember there was a yellow bot?
Oh yeah, the yellow one is Cyrax.
Is yellow.
Yeah, and then there was black.
The red one.
Yellow.
There's a red one that's in the game. He's red. I can't remember his name. Sector.
Yeah. That's it. So Sector and they could bring both of those guys in, right? And they could bring in Katana as a pro character. Katana and Johnny Cage. So there's
Molina.
a lot of So there's a ton of stuff that they can do. There's so many characters. We'll see what ends up happening, but Molina. Who was the character? Yeah, right there.
I'm sorry. I always mixed them up. Yeah, Molina. Yeah, Katana was. I thought she was Katana. Molina was the
Katana's the one with the fans.
Okay, I got that mixed up. Okay.
Yeah. She was.
Yeah.
She was good.
Who's the one? I know you got Shao Kahn. Who I know they showed a big statue of Shao Kahn, right?
Yeah, Shao Kahn. He could be in.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, yeah. Was that with his big hammer? But he had his wife, I think, was I can't remember her name. She would scream. She had a big scream.
Oh, Sindel.
Sindel. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get the centaur guy, and there's a lady. There's a lady Goro.
Shiva.
There's a Shiva. Yeah.
Well, they had an animated film on them, right? Like I remember from when I was a kid.
There was a Mortal Kombat animated. Yeah.
Right. I didn't even know that.
And it spent a lot of time talking about Goro and Shiva.
Okay.
At least there was one movie that was about them. And their cave, they're like an underground. Dude, I haven't seen it in like 20 years, so I'm going based off like very faint memory. But I remember being at my grandma's house watching something to do with it way long time ago. So I mean, that's kind of as far as I agree with you guys. I mean, Goro, and he did dirty in the first one and in this one. This dude who's getting beat up in MMA fights against just regular street fighters. Come on. And now he's gonna go defeat Goro. Like they could have at least had Goro like beat him up and then dip out, and then Goro fights in Mortal Kombat, and even bring Johnny Cage back in the second one and have Johnny Cage defeat him. That would be cool, right?
Or Liu Kang, because Liu Kang, I know in the game all you gotta do is you just do that flying kick, get about a half screen away. Don't let Goro grab you. Just do that flying kick over and over.
Just shoot the fireball.
You can beat Goro pretty easily if you figure that out.
Yeah. So, I mean, could have been better. Definitely.
But it was good though, guys. Like I think the thing is, we've been waiting for this, like you guys said, for 25 years, right? So when you're waiting for something for so long, the expectation is perfection. And we didn't get perfection, but we did get really good fight scenes. And I think that in terms of a Mortal Kombat movie, like even the first two, the acting, the talking was corny. It was never supposed to be like it was corny, but the fighting was so badass, and that's what drew all of us in as kids. And I think they went for the same thing, was, make people laugh with Kano, have Liu Kang and his brother have some kind of funny scenes, and build up this new character so that he can kind of be the guy and give us some dope fighting scenes like Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and their two fight scenes, and Scorpion and Jax, like you said, where he says, "I did 6 tours," that, and then how he froze his arms off and boom. Yeah, like that was cool. Like
there are things to definitely love about this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them is definitely, the way that they show the fatalities, like this one right here. I mean, how incredible is that, to see? It's just straight out of the
Dragon.
So to wrap up our thoughts, we'll wrap this up. Would you say you guys enjoyed this? Did you? I don't think any of you hated it.
No.
How would you describe like your thoughts on this movie? Like, to wrap it up.
I think it's I think it's fine. It's not bad at all. Watch if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, you're gonna watch it for sure. So I don't have to talk to the fans, but it's something like it's on HBO Max. If you have that, it's a new thing. Watch it. It's worth the watch. It's not totally. You might like it. You might not. Doesn't have the best dialogue in the world. It's not necessarily what you're going into a Mortal Kombat movie for, though. If you want to see the cool fights, some of the lore, you can see the characters. You can see some of the. It's pretty. It leans into the lore pretty, for the most part, pretty okay. So it's got all that stuff. right? It's a I know some people are saying, I know Johnny and Star Drew, like you prefer the original one. I think this is a better, it's a 2021 version of that movie, done a little bit better. You know, they kind of learned from the mistakes of the past, what they tried to do in movies, Mortal Kombat. Improved on some of that stuff somewhat. It's worth watching. You know, like I said, it looks good, and you know, I think you'll be if you like it, you'll be interested in more. You know, so certainly for Mortal Kombat fans, I think you'll like it. I hope for the most part. And yeah, there's enough there to build on. Let's put it that way. So, but yeah. I think it's okay.
All right, take it away, Joe. What you got?
I'm gonna give it an incomplete, guys. We didn't get Mortal Kombat. We got the build up to Mortal Kombat, right? So to me, it's an incomplete. I think, like you said, if it's a one-off and this ends up being the movie, it's okay. It's disappointing because we didn't get Mortal Kombat. We didn't get, you know. But if they bring this into a second or a third and they build off of what they showed here, I think it has potential to be really good, really, really good. So definitely worth watching. I'm not one of those guys that, you know, if you went into Mortal Kombat expecting a super serious movie with the best dialogue and some love story or what, you're going to be disappointed no matter what, because that's just not Mortal Kombat. You know, it's not Marvel in that sense where, you know, they super hyper focus on everything that they say to each other. To me, this is watch the movie, enjoy the fight scenes, enjoy seeing Sub-Zero whoop some ass, and then enjoy seeing Kung Lao and the fatality that you just showed on screen. And you're not going to be disappointed just from just those three scenes enough for me to say it was a good movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to share that. But okay, to wrap up my thoughts, look, okay, I'm gonna bring this up right here because this kind of is the tail of the tape right here, if you want to call it that right there. Like, fans of Mortal Kombat are gonna find things to love where it's just enough to where it's a pass. Sure. But they're looking at, I mean, look at that tomato meter right there. Joe, you're definitely not alone on that, okay?
Yeah.
From what we were promised, this movie was going to dive deep into the mythology. It was going to deliver fight scenes that you have never seen before in a movie, and it kind of didn't live up to that. It kind of didn't, in my honest opinion. Now, let me say this, okay? This is not really in the movie, but this is like Warner Brothers setting a dangerous precedent for blockbusters. Let me ask you this question. I'll leave you with this. What do you want to see in your blockbusters going forward? You know, the movies that are meant to be giant spectacles that you watch that aren't necessarily Oscar, movies. Do you want to leave your brain at the door and just watch it or whatever? Or do you want to be amazed at not just the visual spectacle, but also the story, the characters and whatnot? Yeah. This is 2 movies in a row now with Warner Brothers. Okay, 2 movies in a row where I'm talking about Godzilla versus Kong in this movie. Godzilla versus Kong definitely delivers on the fights, but the humans, you couldn't give a shit about.
Sure.
This movie does the same thing. It guts the movie. You watch this movie, the way it transitions from one scene to the next, it's like, whoa, that happened so fast. Did I miss something? Let me rewind. Oh, I didn't miss anything. Wow, that was just, that's just me. Like, for me, I was expecting a little bit more. Obviously, we get the fights, we get, the costumes and the mannerisms. It's everything you would want out of a video game movie.
Yeah.
But this movie was looked at as the one that would elevate the video game genre in Hollywood to newer heights, to finally give studios confidence to explore more video games and, take chances. This movie was kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
You like it, you don't love it. You dislike some things, but you don't hate it. It's just right there, Yeah. And I don't know. Do I hate it? No. Is it great? No. It's okay. It's okay. I'm very curious what was cut out. I hope we get it. But it was just all right. Am I going to think about it in 2 months? Am I going to think about this movie in 2 months? Probably not.
Yeah.
My opinion.
I mean, maybe one thing is, okay, imagine nobody knew what Mortal Kombat was. Imagine the video games didn't exist. The first movie is not something that we grew up with. Imagine we're 11 years old. We have no history of Mortal Kombat. This is our first introduction.
Right.
Then I agree it's not very good. But for someone like me who's so nostalgic about the game, about the movie, about everything to do with Mortal Kombat, imitating the fight moves with my brothers when I was kids, like, come on. So for me, like, even just getting our foot in the door seems like a win, right? And like you said, us Mortal Kombat fans are going to find a way to find the positives, right? But I agree that had this been done by a different studio who actually wanted to amaze you with not only the action but the story, it could have been 1,000 times better. And that's one thing that I will give to Marvel, is that it seems like they're always spot on with the story too, right? It's never just Iron Man firing up the suit and blasting dudes. Like, there's more to it. You learn to love Tony Stark. You learn to love the people around him, and Warner Brothers doesn't do a great job at that, right? Like you said, I watched all the Kongzilla and Zilla's movies, and like I left thinking the exact same thing. Like, I don't care about these guys. Like, I just watched Walter White's wife burn to a nuclear reactor in
the first Godzilla movie, yeah.
And I don't care. Like, I don't have any attachment to her. Like, I want to see Godzilla fight, like. So I think maybe that's what it is they don't know how to connect with us. So yeah, they could be better than that. But then I go back and I watch Batman, right? All the Batmans with Christian Bale, and I'm like, holy hell, no! I love Bruce Wayne. I love
the
Alfred.
Storytelling, yeah.
I love the Joker. Like, give me more of that. So whatever they've done over the last 5-7 years seems like maybe a step back.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll just say, like, be careful what you ask for, okay? Like, you can only get so many movies that are just like, oh, that was fun. I left my brain at the door. I enjoyed it, whatever. But it's just like, it makes me worried. Like, if the original Jurassic Park, the very first one, came out today, we'd probably never get that scene where they're sitting at the table and they're having a conversation about whether or not they could, but whether or not they should. It's just those classic blockbusters like live with us, and I'm afraid for the next generation. It's like it's just going to be like dumbed down blockbusters and whatnot. We got some comments here. Look, I like Louis Tan. I think he needs to go to school. Louis Tan being this guy, guys. Like, no, ouch. That is criticism right there, but I respect it. I kind of agree with you. I mean, his acting wasn't, too bad.
Yeah. Not great.
Stardew, you watch it, and then maybe you're done with the movie. Yeah.
Maybe. Sure.
Aquaman, look, Aquaman.
Yeah.
Look, it's just, say what you will about it. It's highly rewatchable. You can throw it on. It has everything. It's just one of those movies. Man of Steel, yep. Keith, I like your Scott Pilgrim versus the World poster. That's awesome.
Dude, I like the Sicario one, man. I saw that earlier. I was like,
Sicario, man.
Goodfellas, my favorite movie of all time, but I see those posters. But Sicario is like low key. Not a lot of people are on that, dude. And me and my girl, we were all about those movies.
That scene where they're going through the border on the way back to the US. Whew, man.
Yeah.
But guys, that's going to do it for the Mortal Kombat Rewind. I will leave you with this little clip, and then we'll say our outros. Check this out again.
Laser beam! It's better than fireballs, you pussy!
I can watch that.
One of the best scenes in a movie, man. I'm sorry, guys, but it just...
All right,
Keith. Can they find you anywhere? Those watching on a playback, can they find you anywhere?
Yes, right here, Twitter at KeithBarnes79. See me on Tuesdays. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate that, sir. See me on Tuesday nights on Apocalypse Movies YouTube channel. Apocalypse Now. We're live every Tuesday at 7:30. And you can find me here talking on Sunday nights with Gio, talking about stuff as well.
Joseph, your first time, but not your last time. I'm going to get you
No.
back here, buddy. Where can they find you on social media or any YouTube channels?
I mean, to be honest,
Come on.
I'm not huge on the social medias, guys. I get on there, but I mostly just mess around with friends. But what I will say is go follow First Round Fantasy Football. We are also on YouTube. We're on Twitter. Yeah. We're on Facebook. First Round Fantasy, we do every Thursday. And if you are a movie fan and a fantasy sports fan like I am, come tune in for some fantasy advice. We'd love to have you.
You guys can find Joseph on here. Okay. Right now. Okay. Those of you watching. And obviously, you guys can find me on Twitter at Grey Goose Jedi. There I am right there. Okay. Don't tell other people about this in my hospitality career because they're going to be like, what? But you guys can find me on Twitter right there. You guys can also find me on Fandom United. I am live every Sunday to talk about news, movies, DC, or if you guys want to bring something up that you may have watched this past week, definitely bring it up here. I appreciate your conversation, your time. Definitely some good stuff. Thank you again. Star Drew, thank you. Again, you are a real one. This guy's been here.
Yeah, man.
We're only going to keep growing, okay? We're going to get larger and larger. I'm going to try and reach out to some people. I just started this back in January. Thank you for, tuning in. But that's going to do it for Fandom United number 22. Let us know your thoughts on Mortal Kombat. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you dislike it? Let me know your thoughts. The Oscars was an interesting night. Let us know your thoughts on the Oscars. I'm going to go and watch some of the clips online. But that's going to do it. Gio here for Keith, Joseph. We'll catch you guys later. Take care. Be safe.